The alien nurse said, "Relax." Then her hands went way too low. To know how low the nurse put her hand, please like, share, and subscribe to know what the nurse did next. Kepler Verge drifted like a tired old beast, patched together hulls of luxury liners, welded into a ring that caught the gas giant's faint glow. 2.8 AU out, where the star was just a hazy promise behind layers of dust and regret. Evan Cross flexed his fingers around the crate handle, sweat stinging the cuts on his knuckles. Bay 19 hummed with the usual chaos, forklifts whining, voices barking over comms, the sharp tang of hydraulic fluid mixing with stale coffee from the vending nook. He thumbed the manifest on his wrist pad. Field dressings, batch 47K, Apex humanitarian aid. Yeah, right. More like surplus from some forgotten war zone. The cargo loader rolled forward on its mag rails. Safety lights blinking green, then click. The lock disengaged with a metallic snap that cut through the noise like a warning shot. Evan's instincts kicked in late. He twisted, shoulders slamming into the crate, but the loader kept coming. Metal met bone with a crunch that echoed in his teeth. Pinned against the bulkhead, pressure building. Crack. Something gave inside his skull. Warmth spilled down his neck, floating away in perfect zero-G spheres that shimmered under the bay floods. "Evan, hold on!" A dockhand yelled, voice cracking. Boots pounded. Hands grabbed his arms, dragging him free as the loader powered down with a confused whir. Straps cinched over his chest on the stretcher, tight enough to bruise. Corridors blurred. Amber strobes, red alerts, the old casino sign flickering overhead. Xeno Ward. Your luck starts here. Neon dice spun in eternal loops, mocking the pain throbbing behind his eyes. They burst into the ward, surgical lamps buzzing to life like a swarm. Evan blinked against the glare, world tilting. A figure moved into view. Skin violet blue, glowing faintly as if lit from within. Copper eyes sharp and assessing. Dr. Celine Aranor. She didn't reach for tools or scanners, just leaned in, palms pressing flat to his temples. Bare skin on skin, warm, electric. A pulse rippled between them. Slow at first, then sinking, like two rhythms finding the same beat. Sync anomaly, her hollow display blared, waveforms twisting together in gold and blue. Celine's braid slipped forward, brushing his cheek. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing just a touch. Skull fracture, hematoma pressing the optic nerve, shear along the cervical spine, she said, voice low and steady, almost a lullaby. But this resonance, it's, curious. Evan swallowed, tongue heavy. I'm okay. Just, knock the wind out of me. Wind doesn't drift in ruby globes, Evan, Celine replied, a soft tease in her tone, corners of her mouth quirking. She tweaked a dial on the regenerator. Biolum vines along her forearms pulsed brighter, weaving data into the air like living code. Heavy boots echoed. Harlan, security chief, barreling through the door with Voss trailing, Apex suit crisp as a blade. Voss clutched his tablet like it held the keys to the universe. Aranor, Harlan growled, hand hovering near his stun baton. Step back. That's company property. Celine's palm stayed put, fingers splaying wider over Evan's skin. He's a patient, Chief. Bleeding, scared, and very much alive. Back off. Voss swiped the screen, voice slick. Clause 17B, anomalies on Apex turf? Hours. Data, subject. Hand 'em over. Evan's gut twisted. Property. The word hit harder than the loader. He tried to sit up, straps biting. What the hell? I'm not... Shh, Celine murmured, thumb brushing his pulse point. A warm spark that steadied the spin in his head. Her copper eyes flicked to Voss, hardening. You want him? Pry my hands off first. Harlan unclipped the baton, blue charge crackling. Doc, don't... The hum between Evan and Celine deepened. A harmonic thrum, vibrating in his bones. Instruments spiked wild, unlabeled peak. Celine glanced at it, breath catching for a split second. Voss leaned in, smug. See that? Already bonding. Efficient. Surrender the files, now. Celine's grip tightened. protective, fierce. Over my cooling corpse, you suit. Evan's vision frayed at the edges, sedation tugging like undertow. Celine's face swam close, voice dropping to a whisper meant only for him. Breathe with me. In. Out. I've got you. He clung to that warmth as darkness crept in. The last flicker in his mind felt worse in the trenches, but never this owned. Lights dimmed to night cycle, neon dice still chasing jackpots that never came. Celine lingered by the cot, watching the synced waveforms hold steady. Harlan had stormed out muttering threats, Voss promising paperwork storms. She sealed the door with a soft chime, then activated her private log, voice hushed, fingers trembling just enough to betray the calm. Log entry, patient cross, Evan. Resonance levels. Impossible. Unless the old aid mission tales held truth, shared nanosites, hybrid echoes. She paused the record, exhaling slow. Myths weren't supposed to bleed on her table. Alarms whispered through the vents, lockdown cascading deck by deck. Apex sealing the net. Celine wiped public caches with a flick, routing backups to a hidden node. If they breached, everything vanished with her pulse. Evan stirred once, paint a hazy wave. Celine bent close, breath feathering his ear. Shift change at smuggler docks. 14 hours, rest, soldier. He cracked a weary grin, voice raspy. Bedside manners, growing on me. She chuckled, low, genuine. Sleep. Tomorrow, we run. Outside, Kepler Verge turned slow against the giant storms, lights winking like distant campfires. Inside the ward, two waveforms danced on the monitor. Closer now, beat matching beat, a quiet promise in the hum. The recyclers sighed like ocean waves, carrying echoes of slot machines long dead. Celine adjusted the regenerator one last time, vines glowing soft. Evan's hand twitched in sleep, fingers curling as if reaching. She covered it with hers, skin to skin again, the sync deepening without effort. Voss's voice crackled over intercom, tinny and furious. Aranor, open this door or we vent the deck. She ignored it, eyes on Evan. Not yours, she whispered to the empty air. Not anyone's. Bay 19's cleanup crew mopped floating spheres, muttering about bad luck. Down in the ring's spine, smugglers prepped trams under false IDs. Time ticked. 14 hours to freedom, or whatever waited beyond the giant's shadow. The station spun on, oblivious, while a new rhythm echoed in the dark. Human and Luminari, tangled, alive. The Xenoward's recyclers sighed like tired lungs, pushing recycled air thick with antiseptic and old smoke ghosts from the casino days. Evan blinked awake on the cot, straps slack now, the regenerator's soft whir fading to a lull. His skull pulsed with a dull drumbeat, better than the sharp agony before, but still enough to make him grimace. Neon dice overhead kept rolling their endless game, casting flickering reds and golds across the room. He pushed up on his elbows, testing. Yeah, limbs worked, no spins. Selene stood at the console, violet-blue skin luminous under the dim lamps. Bylum vines along her forearms pulsing slow and rhythmic, like breathing code. She twisted a dial on the dermal regenerator, precise, focused. Fingers glowing faint as data streamed into the hollow. Evan cleared his throat. Hey, Doc, that you again? She turned, copper eyes softening with a quick smile that crinkled the corners. Celine. And yes, me again. How's the head? She stepped closer, palm hovering over his forehead, without touching yet, vines brightening in anticipation. Feels like I went 10 rounds with a bulkhead and lost, Evan muttered, rubbing his temple. But I'm upright. That's something. Upright's a win out here, Celine said, voice warm with that gentle tease. She pressed her palm down now, skin to skin, the pulse rippling between them, sinking easy, deeper than before. See? Resonance holding. Luminary way. We diagnose through touch, bioelectric currents, emotional echoes layered in, then guide cells back to their healthy memory. Her free hand gestured fluid, vines weaving light patterns in the air. Evan watched the hollow display, his waveform in blue, hers in gold, twisting together like vines climbing the same wall. That's, us? Locking like that? She nodded, braids slipping over her shoulder as she leaned in. Exactly. Rare sync, almost intimate. Her fingers lingered, thumb brushing his pulse point, a spark of warmth that chased the ache away. He swallowed, voice dropping. Intimate, huh? Guess I'm lucky it's you. Celine's cheeks flushed a shade darker, but she huffed a soft laugh. Flattery won't speed healing, but noted. She flicked her wrist, private log activating, hidden from main screens. Fingers trembled just a bit as she recorded, voice hushed, urgent. Patient cross, resonance off the charts, impossible without the old missions. Nanocytes dormant? In human tissue? She stopped it quick, exhaling sharp, copper eyes darting to Evan. Then away like guarding a secret too big for the room. The door panel chirped, hiss of entry. Luca Park ducked in, hood pulled low, data shard pinched between gloved fingers like a hot coal. Evan's buddy from the war zones, all wiry energy and quick grins. Evan, man, you're breathing. Miracle. He clapped Evan's shoulder too hard, wincing. Sorry. Still tender? Evan winced but grinned back. Luca, you idiot. What are you doing here? Apex will have your hide. Hides are overrated, Luca shot back, thrusting the shard forward. Snag this from their subnet. Loader hack, remote trigger, 7 gamma origin. Not random, bro. They wanted you squished. Celine grabbed it, slotting in with a snap. Data exploded across the hollow. Codes, timestamps, apex sigils pulsing red. Her vines dimmed fast, skin flushing deep indigo with fury. She slammed a fist on the console. Light, controlled, but the rattle echoed. Bastards, engineered the whole thing. Luca paced, boots scuffing tile. Told ya. You got something thereafter, Evan. Big time. Evan's gut nodded, hands clenching the cot's edge. Me? I'm just a medic hauling crates. What the hell? Alarms blared, sudden lockdown engaged. All decks sealed. Loudspeakers crackled, Harlan's voice booming. Ward breach imminent. Surrender the asset. Boots thundered closer, squads converging. Celine's eyes widened. Panic flashing, then steel. They're here. Luca, cover the door. Evan, alcove now. She yanked him up, arm around his waist, steadying as his knees buckled. Old slot bay. Decommission. Squeeze in. Evan ducked behind the dusty panel, heart hammering, dust clogging his throat. Through the thin wall, Voss yelling, Aranor, open or we vent the deck. Everyone floats. Celine's voice cut back, ice calm but laced with fire. Vent away, suit. Data's gone. Patient too. She hammered keys outside, deleting backups, fingers flying, vines glowing frantic. Luca whispered through a grate, voice tight. She's stalling him. Hold, man. Just hold. Evan pressed a hand to the wall, sinking pulse racing, hers echoing back, grounding him. Minutes dragged, sparks showering from cut conduits, shouts peaking, then ebbing. Panel slid open, Celine's face flushed, braid frayed, copper eyes wild but determined. Clear, for now. She pulled him out, thumb pressing his wrist hard. Warm pulse flooding in, chasing panic like coolant on fire. Breathe. In with me, out slow. Good. Evan leaned on her, voice shaky. You okay? Better than you, she murmured, a weary smile tugging. We move. 14 minutes to tram. Smuggler docks. Luca led, stun prod crackling low. They slipped into corridors, amber strips failing, shadows jumping. Evan's wounds pulled with each step, but Celine's touch on his arm kept the sync steady, a quiet lifeline. Faster, she urged, glancing back. They'll reroute squads. Luca tapped his pad. Tram's hot, false IDs in. Route's clearish. Celine's free hand clenched, then relaxed. If we're caught, well, universe has a weird sense of humor, right? Evan chuckled despite the burn. Yeah, sure. Beats dying bored. They hit a junction, distant yells echoing. Celine pushed him ahead. Go. Luca's got rear. Her vines flared, sensing threats. Tram doors yawned open, crates stacked, air oily and thick. Celine sealed it with a hiss, controls lighting under her fingers. The car lurched, rails humming to life. Evan slid down a wall, breath ragged. Why risk it? For me, a stranger? Luca shot Celine a look. Your mom's mission. Left gifts inside you. Apex smells profit. Celine knelt beside him, palm on his knee, sink deepening, comfort in the thrum. And my counsel might want the same, but not chained. No one owns this. Her voice cracked just her hair, eyes fierce. Through the porthole, Verge's lights smeared under curfew clamps. Luca monitored scans. Dachshund 4, hang tight. Evan covered her hand with his, rough, grateful. Together then, she squeezed back. Together. The tram sped on, carrying whispers of secrets and a harmonic hum that grew stronger in the dark, toward docks alive with shadows, one step from the ring's jaws. The tram's magnetic rails screamed as it hurtled through the outer ring's spine, amber strips strobing past in frantic pulses, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts. Evan gripped a crate strap, knuckles white, the sync with Celine a low, steady hum in his chest, anchoring him against the lurch in his gut. She stood at the forward viewport, violet blue fingers pressed flat to the glass. Copper eyes narrowed on the corridors whipping by. Luca crouched beside her, wrist pad glowing, hacking drone feeds with quick, desperate swipes, face tense, sweat beating under the hood. Drone junction in 90 seconds, Luca whispered, voice cracking just a hair. Apex has 4 birds locked. Grapple's hot, Celine whirled, braid lashing her shoulder. We bail here. Your maintenance drone, go. Luca nodded sharp, thumbs blurring final commands. Side hatch irised open with a pneumatic gasp. 0G cold rushing in, biting skin, carrying the sharp sting of coolant leaks and distant welding arcs. They spilled onto the catwalk, narrow grating, slick with frost, handrails humming under the ring's rotation. Evan's mag boots clamped unsteady, half-healed ribs flared with each breath, a reminder of the loader's crush. Celine caught his arm, pulling him close, palm to elbow, pulse flaring warm, chasing the pain. With me, float smooth. Float. I'm a ground pounder, remember? Evan muttered, but he kicked off after her, body tumbling slow in the null G, heart pounding louder than the alarms. Luca deployed the fist-sized drone from his belt. It whirred ahead, spitting false heat sigs, 3 phantom targets drifting lazy opposite their path. Real Apex drones rounded the bend, sleek black, grapples unfolding like metal claws. One snapped onto Celine's braid. Yank! She cried out, a sharp gasp, twisting midair as vines exploded bright along her arms. Pain flashed in her copper eyes, but she clawed at the tether, fighting the pull. Evan's blood roared. He pushed off a support strut hard, spinning wild toward her. Celine, hold on! Grabbed the medkit from his harness, popped the defibrillator with shaking hands. Jury-rigged a pulse grenade in frantic seconds. Wires twisted, charge-armed. Luca, clear the line! Luca shoved Celine forward, vines still glowing frantic. Evan hurled the charge. It arced lazy, then, boom, blue-white EMP bloom. 3 drones sparked, systems frying in a cascade of pops and smoke. The 4th wobbled, grapple loosening from Celine's hair with a defeated clink, braid frayed and floating free. They crashed through a derelict freight tube, tumbling into the stalwart Grace, a hulking rust bucket freighter scarred by micrometeorites, prepped in the shadows for illicit jumps. Evan hit the deck plating with a grunt, air knocked out, ribs screaming. Celine rolled beside him, breath hitching, hands already glowing as she slapped palms to a hairline hull breach. Bioadhesive oozed from her skin, thick, luminous, sealing the hiss in heartbeats, vines dimming as the patch set hard. She winced, rubbing her scalp, but her eyes found Evan first. You good? Been better, he rasped, pushing up on one elbow, forcing a grin through the pain. Nice glue trick. Saved our air. She managed a shaky laugh, cheeks flushing darker. Field necessity comes with the territory. Her hand lingered on his arm, sync-checking, comfort in the thrum, a silent thank you for the save. Luca slammed the inner lock, panting hard, face pale under the emergency reds. Grace's nav is ghosted. False transponder cycling. We burn in 45, if the clamps release. Station alarms wailed louder now. Apex cutters visible through the cracked viewport, thrusters flaring as they closed the net. Celine hauled Evan to a jump seat, buckling him in with quick, caring snaps. Fingers brushing his, pulse steadying them both. Breathe deep. We're not done yet. Evan caught her wrist gentle. Your head, that grapple. It's nothing, she said, but her voice wavered, eyes glistening for a split second before Steele returned. Focus on jumping. Luca patched the public mesh. Upload bar crawling. Loader proof going live. Full packet. Sabotage timestamps. Apex seals. Workers will see the truth. Signal bounced through buoys, evading kill switches. From the viewport, Kepler Verge's lights blinked out section by section. Martial curfew gripping tight. Families huddled in dim habitats, whispers spreading like fire. Evan stared, jaw clenched, fists balling. They'll hunt us to the edge. For what? Me? Celine knelt in front of him, palms on his knees, copper eyes fierce, vulnerable. For freedom, for the right to choose your own pulse. Her voice cracked soft, thumb tracing his knuckle. A promise in the touch. Engines coughed awake, rumbling deep, vibrating the deck. The Grace strained against clamps, then snap free. It lurched into the void, banking hard into the gas giant's swirling shadow. Apex cutters streaked past, beams slicing where decoys lingered. Luca whooped, fist pumping. Clean! They bit the fakes! Shadowdown cockpit lights flickered on, stars smearing the jump lines outside. Celine slumped into the co-pilot seat, braid unraveling further, hands trembling as adrenaline ebbed. Evan unbuckled slow, moving to her side, hand on her shoulder, sync deepening like shared breath. Hey, we made it. Because of you. She turned, eyes wet but smiling real. Us. All of us. Luca killed cabin lights, only engine thrum and the faint glow of vines illuminating faces. Outside, the giant storms churned, lightning forking in silence. The Grace steadied course, vanishing into black. Hearts racing, but beating stronger together, one jump from unraveling the ghost chasing them. The stalwart Grace drifted through the black like a wounded animal, engines sputtering on fumes and patched fuel lines. Hull plates groaning with every micro-adjustment. Evan floated in the makeshift medbay, a dim alcove crammed with fold-down cot, flickering diagnostic strips, and crates of scavenged supplies stacked like barricades. Painkillers ebbed from his system, leaving a raw throb in his skull and ribs, a reminder that survival came with costs. Celine moved around him with quiet efficiency, violet-blue hands assembling the full gene scanner from portable parts. Vines along her forearm, pulsing soft gold, expectant, as if sensing the secrets about to spill. Luca knelt nearby, splicing cables from the nav console to boost power, hood thrown back, face etched with lines of exhaustion and that reporter's fire that never quite dimmed. Cot's ready, Celine said, voice low and steady, guiding Evan down with a gentle hand on his chest. Deep scan. No shortcuts. We need the full picture. Her copper eyes locked on his, a flicker of hesitation. Apology for the intrusion, but resolve winning out. Fingers brushed his temple, sync sparking, immediate, warm pulse chasing the chill of fear. Evan settled back, staring at rust blooms on the overhead panel. Hit me, Doc. Celine. Just don't sugarcoat it, okay? I've seen enough lies in the field. No lies, she promised, a soft smile tugging despite the tension. She activated the scanner, beams sweeping in golden lattices, humming like distant bees. Data cascaded on the hollow, layers peeling back. Human baseline solid, then anomalies clustering gold around the amygdala, neural pathways laced with foreign code. Celine zoomed in, breath catching sharp. Dormant luminary nanocytes. Legacy from your mother's aid mission, 28 years ago. She volunteered, shared blood to save crash victims. These slept until the loader impact woke them. Her vines dimmed, skin shifting to a deeper indigo. Shock, then a wave of protectiveness washing over her features. She reached out, palm hovering over the projection as if to shield it. Evan pushed up on elbows, ignoring the pull in his ribs, eyes wide on the map of his own body, alien sparks embedded in human blue. So I'm carrying your people's tech? Part luminary? His voice cracked, fists balling the thin blanket. Anger surging hot, mixed with a hollow fear that twisted his gut. All this time? Luca straightened from the cables, arms crossing tight over his chest. Worse, Apex internal memos, Project Confluence. They want to clone hybrids like you, tougher in vacuum, faster region for deep core ops. Endless workers, no unions, pure profit. He swiped his pad, files scrolling relentless, budgets in billions, timelines marked acquire specimen, test subjects redacted. Celine's hand found Evan's forearm, squeeze firm, grounding, vines flaring to match his racing pulse. You're not a project, Evan. You're you, choices, scars, all of it. But her eyes glistened, lower lip caught between teeth for a second. Guilt for unveiling this without warning, empathy aching in the sink. She keyed the comm array, luminary relay buoy, burst transmission encrypted tight, hollow flickered. A stern council envoy, robes shimmering, return vessel, return subject, confluence asset critical to population restoration. Celine's braid lashed as she severed the link, face flushing dark with fury. They want your nanocytes to reverse our fertility decline, force breed a future from one man's veins. Her voice broke soft on the last word, hand pressing to her chest as if feeling the violation herself. Evan caught every word from the cot, rage exploding. He lurched up, smashing a fist into the bulkhead. Dent ringing out, metal buckling, knuckles splitting open with a sting that grounded the chaos inside. I'm not a damn cure-all. Not for Apex, not for your council. Nobody. Blood welled, dripping slow in the low G. Celine was there in a heartbeat, palms cupping the injury. Glow-sealing skin seamless, sink flooding, cool relief through the burn. Evan, stop. Hurting yourself changes nothing. Her tone pleaded, copper eyes wet, vines trembling as she held his gaze. He sagged against her, forehead to hers, breath mingling, sink deepening to a shared ache. Feels like I've been a pawn my whole life. Mom never said. Luca paced the tight space, boots scuffing, voice urgent but kind. She probably didn't know the full extent, but we fight back. Public Exposé, Kepler Central Plaza, 4,000 workers packed in, live feeds to every colony net. Drop the truth bomb, loader hack, Apex plans, council grab. Let 'em see. Evan pulled back, wiping blood on his sleeve, eyes hardening to steel. Do it. But on my terms, I hold the kill switch. They lay a hand, genome scrambles. Gone forever. Celine nodded slow, fingers already dancing over her console, coding the cortical deadman switch, neural implant tie-in, heartbeat monitor, self-destruct sequence for the nanocytes. Link to your vitals. Capture spike in stress chems. It triggers. Irreversible. Her hands shook as she finalized, confirmed flashing green. She turned to him, voice barely above a whisper. It's your life in the balance. Sure? Positive, he said, covering her hands with his. Rough calluses over her glow, sink pulsing strong. My body, my call. A weary grin cracked through. Guess that's what passes for control out here. They huddled over nav plots, false transponders cycling through stolen IDs, ghost pings scattering like chaff. Luca masked biosigns with jammer bursts. Celine rerouted power to stealth coils. The Grace altered course, banking subtle toward Kepler Verge's shadow approach. In the jump lull, Evan drifted to a small porthole. Stars streaking cold, the gas giant a swirling giant in the distance. Storms like bruised thoughts. Celine joined him, shoulder brushing his vines dim but warm. Scared? She asked, voice soft. hand slipping into his. Terrified, he admitted, thumb tracing her knuckles. Feels like the universe just rewrote my backstory, but having you here makes it bearable. She leaned in, head on his arm, sync weaving comfort. You're not alone in this rewrite. We face the ghost together. Luca called from the cockpit hatch. ETA 1 hour 40? Traffic lanes clear. Ish. Strap in. This'll be bumpy. Alarms stayed mercifully quiet, but tension hung thick. Ghosts in the code whispering promises of confrontation. The trio's bond the only light cutting through. Evan squeezed Celine's hand one last time before buckling in. Heartbeat sinking, resolve hardening. The Grace pushed engines harder, hurtling back to the ring, ready to shatter secrets in the open, or burn trying. The stalwart Grace ghosted into Bay 42 like a whisper in a storm, clamps locking soft, false transponder, fading to silence. Evan unbuckled from the jump seat, legs shaky as gravity reasserted itself, the sync with Celine still humming low, a lifeline after the tense jump. She stood beside him at the airlock, violet blue hand slipping into his, fingers intertwining tight, copper eyes searching his face, vines pulsing with a mix of fear and fire. "Ready for this?" she asked, voice barely above the hiss of cycling pressure. Evan squeezed back, thumb tracing her knuckles. "As I'll ever be, let's end the chasing." Lucas sealed the cockpit behind them, slinging a data rig over his shoulder, grinning fierce despite the bags under his eyes. Crowds swollen to 4,000 and climbing. Mesh is lit. Your loader vids got half the station raging. He clapped Evan's shoulder, then Celine's. "Stage is set. Let's drop the hammer." They stepped into the bay, air thick with hydraulic grease and the green tang of hydroponic overflow from nearby vents. Workers milled everywhere. Miners in scarred exosuits, families with kids on shoulders, smugglers leaning on crates with wary nods. A burly welder blocked their path, torch still glowing in his glove. "You the medic from the hack?" His voice rumbled low, eyes flicking to Evan's bruises. Evan nodded. The man stepped aside, thumping his chest. "Plaza's waiting. We clear a path." Corridors funneled them toward the central plaza, boots echoing in waves, murmurs building to a roar. Evan's pulse spiked with each step. Celine's grip tightened, vines glowing brighter, sinking to calm the storm inside him. "Breathe with me," she whispered, pulling him close for a second amid the press. "In, out, you're not alone." "She feels like marching into a firefight blind," he muttered, but managed a crooked grin. "Good thing I've got the best spotter." She huffed a soft laugh, cheeks darkening. "Flattery later, truth now." The plaza exploded into view, vast dome under artificial sun panels. Hydroponic trees arching high with roots trailing in nutrient mist. Leaves rustling in recycled breezes. 4,000 souls packed tight, shoulders brushing, voices a low thunder, faces lit by hollow screens rising from deck plates on extendable arms. Luca leaped onto the makeshift stage, stacked cargo pallets reinforced with weld seams, and jacked his rig. "Live in 3, 2. Feeds bloomed across every surface. Colony nets, hab walls, even wrist pads in the crowd. Evan climbed up slow, knees trembling under the weight of stairs, miners with silicate dust in their creases, kids wide-eyed on parents' hips, elders clutching railings. Celine stayed at his side, palm flat on his lower back. Steady pressure, copper eyes scanning the sea of faces. The sync deepened, her calm bleeding into his chaos. Luca tapped play. Security footage rolled giant. Loader safety disengaging, metal crushing down, Evan pinned and bleeding in zero-G spheres. Gasps ripped through the plaza. A woman near the front covered her mouth, tears streaking. "They tried to murder him!" Shouts erupted, fists shaking, boots stomping deck plates. Evan raised both hands. Silence crashed in waves. His voice cracked at first, raw from the jump and the fear. "That's me under the machine, ex-combat medic, just trying to earn a berth." But the crash, it woke something. He swiped Luca's pad. Gene map projecting huge. Human framework in blue. Luminary nanocytes pulsing gold around the amygdala. Clusters bright as stars. 28 years ago, my mom joined a Luminary aid mission. Shared blood to save crash survivors. This is the echo, dormant till Apex triggered it. Crowd noise swelled. Some cheered loud, pumping fists. Others clutched children tighter, faces pale with the weight of different. A young miner shouted, "He's human!" But got their spark? What's that mean for us? Murmurs rippled. Fear, curiosity, solidarity mixing. Apex security shoved through the edges. Black armor, visors down, Chief Harlan barking orders. Cordon up! Disperse or we clear by force! Stun battens crackled blue. The front line of workers linked arms, faces hard. Harlan raised his weapon, then hesitated as a grizzled asteroid vet stepped forward, voice gravel. Touch him, you touch all of us. Overhead thrusters growled. Sleek luminary, shuttle descending graceful through the dome's iris. Ramp lowering with a hydraulic sigh. Ambassador Milas Core emerged, silver robes flowing like liquid starlight, expression carved neutral, but eyes locking on Evan with calculating intensity. She raised a hand. The crowd parted reluctant, forming a rough triangle around the pallets. Tripartite parley. Here, now. Neutral ground. The plaza itself. Voss muscled through Harlan's line, suit rumpled, face slick with sweat. This is corporate jurisdiction. The anomaly reverts to... Malus cut him smooth, voice carrying without effort. Luminary genetic legacy. Council claims stewardship for species continuity. Evan stepped center, Celine's hand slipping to his, Lucas streaming every breath, his fists clenched till knuckles whitened, Sync spiked hot, Celine squeezing back, grounding him. I'm not anomaly or legacy. I'm Evan Cross, patient, person, citizen of this ring. Done being property. He triggered the Accord hollow, text scrolling bold across screens. Clinical transparency accord. Consent mandatory. Data public. Oversight by community. Sign it, or I trigger the dead man. Nanosites scramble. Gone forever. Celine moved forward, voice ringing clear over the hush. Add the sovereign clinic. Horizon mercy. Neutral haven. All species heal. Research shared. No ownership. The name ignited. Workers chanting, Horizon mercy. Horizon mercy. Fists high, voices raw with long-held hope. A child near the stage waved a scrap paper flag, intertwined heart lines in red crayon and gold marker. Harlan's squad wavered, rifles dipping as miners pressed closer, a wall of bodies. One security tech lowered his visor, muttering, My sister's a nurse. This ain't right. Malus studied the scrolling text, stylus hovering. Silver robes catching sun panel glints. Voss snarled, You'll crash the market. But the chant drowned him. Malus signed first, stylus scratching deliberate. Voss followed under the feed's unblinking eye, hands shaking. Accord blazed everywhere. No specimen, only patient. Cheers detonated, plaza shaking with stomps and roars. Someone struck the old miner's hymn, off-key defiant. Voices joining ragged till trees trembled. Celine pulled Evan into a fierce hug, copper eyes streaming, violet skin flushed triumph. He buried his face in her braid, Sync singing pure victory. From the crowd's heart, the child's flag waved higher, red and gold heart lines catching the light. The plaza exhaled as one, fear forged into fire, a new accord sealed in sweat and solidarity under artificial stars. The plaza's sun panels bled from gold to bruised amber, hour 6 grinding on like a stripped gear. Hydroponic leaves drooping in the thinning light. 4,000 souls packed tighter than vacuum seals. Sweat and hope thick in the air. Evan's boots ached on the cargo pallets, voice raw from shouting over the restless hum. Celine's fingers laced so hard through his the Sync screamed, her pulse racing against his, a shared drumbeat of exhaustion and defiance. Malus Core paced the triangle's edge, silver robes hissing over scuffed decking. Voss leaned on a hollow pillar, tie askew, eyes bloodshot and desperate. Harlan's cordon strained, armor creaking as miners pressed forward, faces carved with years of dust and distrust. Signatures are ink, Evan rasped, throat burning, gesturing to the accord looping endless on every surface. Consent, open data, oversight, It's law now. Walk away. Voss barked a laugh that cracked midair, swiping sweat from his lip. Law? Apex poured billions into Confluence. Hybrids for the core, unbreakable profit. His tablet flared, bribe figures exploding in neon. Mining shares, colony visas, premium med packs stacked like poker chips. Take it, Cross. Retire fat on some beach world. Everyone eats. Booze detonated, waves of fury crashing, rationed tins and tools flying. A woman near the front hurled her empty can. It clanged off Voss's knee. Eat, while you grind our lungs to dust for quotas? Her voice broke, fists shaking, tears carving clean tracks through grime. Melis raised a pale hand, voice slicing cold. Luminary terms remain. Embargo lift on your rim colonies, tech for the nanosites. Deny us. And trade lanes freeze. Her copper eyes, mirrored to Celine's, locked on Evan, threat veiled in silk. Children starve for your pride. Jeers swelled louder. No deals, no chains. Boots stomping in thunderous rhythm, deck plates vibrating. Celine surged forward, braid whipping like a banner, vines exploding bright with rage. Starve children? My people's desperation doesn't justify theft. She spun to the crowd, arms flung wide. Horizon mercy rises, neutral, free, for every species. Her voice cracked on the last word, copper eyes blazing wet. Pain for her dying world. Fire for the one they'd build. Evan felt the sink ignite, her fury flooding him, fueling the roar in his chest. He slammed his wrist pad, Dead Man Demo triggered. Hollow zoomed on his gene map, nanosites pulsing, frantic gold. Then, 20% vanished in a digital scream of ash. Silence slammed the plaza, ventilation fans stuttering, hearts skipping. Voss lunged, face purple. You lying bastard! No bluff, Evan bellowed, hand trembling on the pad, but voice steel. That was a sample. Lay one finger, the rest follows, permanently. Celine's grip clamped his wrist, steadying, grounding, copper eyes locked fierce. Pride and terror warring in the glow. Harlan's squad faltered, stun batons dipping, armor clanking. A young trooper flipped his visor, face ashen. Sarge, my sister's dying of silicate lung. This clinic, it could, Harlan snarled, stand firm. But his own rifle wavered as miners surged 2 steps, a living wall. Melis stared at the empty hollow, stylus shaking in manicured fingers, robes trembling. The chant died to a tense hush, plaza holding its breath. She exhaled like a blade unsheathed. The council yields to oversight, scratch of stylus, signature glowing final. Voss's tablet clattered to the deck, shattering silence. Under the feed's merciless glare, he scribbled his name, hand spasmic, defeat sour and total. Accord text blazed brighter. No specimen, only patient. Cheers exploded, plaza quaking with roars, stomps, tears. The miners' hymn erupted, off-key defiant, voices layering thick till hydroponic trees shuddered and the sun panels flickered with the vibration. Celine yanked Evan into a crushing embrace, copper eyes streaming, violet skin flushed dark with joy. We did it! We did it! He buried his face in her braid, laughing through the SOB in his throat. Together! Damn it, together! Miners hoisted them onto shoulders, Evan's ribs screaming, but he didn't care. Arms flung wide to the sea of fists. The child's crayon flag waved frantic from the heart of the crowd, red and gold heart lines catching the dying light like a promise. Harlan's cordon shattered, troopers tossing batons, joining the chant, visors up and grinning through dust. Voss slunk into shadows, swallowed by the tide. Melis boarded her shuttle, ramp sealing on a new era without a backward glance. Celine squeezed Evan's hand atop the human wave. Copper eyes wet, vines glowing triumphant. The accord pulsed on every screen, heartbeat of a station reborn, justice ringing louder than any engine. From the stage's edge, Luca whooped, fist pumping, tears cutting clean through grime. That's how you break chains. The plaza spun in a blur of faces, hope raw, electric, unstoppable under the artificial stars. Evan looked down at Celine, her smile fierce, real, luminous. He pulled her close again, whispering against her ear. "We're free." She nodded, voice breaking, soft. "Free and just beginning." The hymn swelled to crescendo, voices raw, united, echoing through vents, into bays, across the ring. Justice didn't whisper. It roared, and Kepler Verge roared back. But the drama wasn't spent. Voss spun back from the shadows, face twisted, pulling a concealed disruptor. "If I can't have it," Harlan moved first, baton cracking Voss's wrist, weapon clattering. "Enough!" The chief's voice boomed, armor dented from the surge. "Stand down, corporate scum. The ring's spoken." Miners cheered wilder, hoisting Harlan too. Traitor turned ally in a heartbeat. Malus paused on a ramp, glancing back, eyes softening a fraction at Celine. "Your fire honors us." Shuttle sealed, thrusters lifting graceful into the dome. Evan's knees buckled on the shoulders. Exhaustion crashing, but Celine climbed up beside him, arms around his waist. "Hold on! We've won!" Tears mixed with laughter, sync singing pure elation. Luca broadcast final. Accord ratified. Feeds looping the signatures, the demo, the roar. Justice served. Lev from Kepler Verge. The plaza lights flickered back to full. Sun panels blazing like dawn. Workers danced in circles. Kids waving flags. Elders weeping open. Evan and Celine stood tall amid the tide. Hands raised, heartlines intertwined in the air. A symbol etched forever. Justice wins. The chant echoed eternal. Satisfaction flooding every soul. Chains shattered. Future bright under the stars they'd claimed. Celine kissed Evan quick. Fierce, real. Copper eyes sparkling. "Our clinic. Our rules." He grinned through tears. "Hell yeah. Horizon Mercy. Launches today." The roar crested, unbreakable, victorious. Justice not just won, but alive in every beating heart. 3 months melted into a fever of sparks and sweat. Kepler Verge's orbital yard, a hive of volunteer shifts. Welders' torches slicing the void in relentless blue-white arcs. The skeletal frame of Horizon Mercy swelling rib by rib under the gas giant's brooding storms. Evan floated through the half-built medbay in 0G. Dust motes dancing lazy in his wake. Celine drifting beside him. Her violet-blue fingers tracing the fresh bulkhead etchings with reverent slowness. Vines along her forearms pulsing soft gold, alive with quiet awe. Luca hovered nearby, arms loaded with humming data cores, face cracked in a perpetual grin, eyes red-rimmed from sleepless nights but burning bright. "Look at her! Really, look!" Evan breathed, voice thick with emotion, gesturing wide to the hull where miners, former dock hands turned master builders, carved the emblem deep. Human red heartline weaving tight with luminary gold, intertwined in an eternal knot. His eyes glistened sharp, fist pressing hard to his chest. Sync with Celine flaring warm, a shared swell of pride that threatened to burst. From a desperate plaza chant to this, our ship, our dream. Celine leaned into him fully, braid floating untethered, copper eyes wet and shimmering under the work lamps. Horizon Mercy. The neutral ground we bled for. She squeezed his hand, fingers digging in, grounding them both. Vines glowing brighter as a welder outside the viewport paused mid-arc, saluting with a raised torch that painted the glass in fire. "No more specimens, no more chains, only patience, free to heal." Her voice cracked soft on the last word, a tear escaping to drift in 0G, catching the light like a tiny star. Luca slotted the first transparent data core into the bay's spine, clicking home with a satisfying chime. Blockchain seals locking eternal. Cores Lev, every scan, every consent, every heartbeat public forever. He spun in the null G, whooping loud enough to echo off the unfinished bulkheads. "Try burying truth now? Impossible. We're unstoppable." His laugh boomed, but his eyes darted to Evan and Celine. Gratitude raw, the reporter's fire tempered by the family they'd forged. They toured the emerging medbay hand in hand, Bylum vines snaking along bulkheads under Celine's guiding touch, glowing to life in intricate webs, ready to map wounds and weave regeneration. Evan's ribs, fully knit now, no twinge left, still carried the ghost memory. He rubbed the spot absent, grinning wide at a volunteer nurse calibrating Regan pods with trembling excitement. Feels like coming home after the longest war. Better than any home I've known, Celine murmured, pulling him into a slow spin. Forehead to forehead, Sync singing pure, unfiltered joy. A future we fought for, tooth and nail. Her vines wrapped his forearm gentle, gold light pulsing in rhythm with his heart. The first test patient arrived amid a flurry of cheers. Grizzled asteroid miner named Jax. Silicate lung rattling wet with each labored breath. Wheeled in by his wide-eyed daughter clutching his sleeve like a lifeline. Heard you take anyone. No questions, no bills, Jax wheezed, coughing dust that sparkled in the bay lights. But his eyes sparked fierce hope. Celine knelt immediate, palms pressing flat to his chest. Glow flooding instant, vines mapping the fibrosis in intricate golden webs that danced across the hollow. Evan monitored the human-side vitals, dials syncing perfect, lungs clearing layer by scarred layer, air flowing clean. Jax gasped, deep, clear, then laughed ragged and free, lungs expanding like they hadn't in decades. I can breathe, stars, I can breathe. He yanked his daughter into a crushing hug, both sobbing open, tears drifting in zero-G spheres. Miners outside the viewport cheered through open comms, torches waving in salute. Evan's throat tightened hard. He turned away a beat, wiping eyes rough on his sleeve. The weight of saved lives crashing over him. Celine found him in the corner, arms wrapping his waist from behind, chin on his shoulder, vines glowing comfort. See? This is why we stood in that plaza. Ship launch day ignited artificial dawn, Kepler Verge saluting with every docking light blinking in perfect rhythm, applause thundering through open bays as Horizon Mercy detached graceful from the scaffolds. Evan took the helm, hands steady on controls that felt made for him. Celine co-pilot, fingers dancing over biopanels. Luca at comms cueing the first Mercy run. Course locked, Naire Medical Academy, 12 parsecs coreward. Distress beacons already pinging. Refugees radiation burns. We're go. In the observation lounge post-jump, they watched the station shrink to a bright, defiant ring. Workers lining the viewports, waving flags. The child's original crayon Heartline now painted massive on a hull plate, visible even from space. Evan pulled Celine close, voice breaking soft amid the engine hum. Guess we're the control group now, proving transparency works. She laughed, luminous, real, the sound wrapping him like warmth, copper eyes sparkling as she cupped his face. With you leading, it'll work brilliantly. Her kiss landed fierce, Sync exploding in elation, vines wrapping his arms tight. Engines hummed deeper, Horizon Mercy leaping forward into the black. Emblem glowing bright against the stars. Satisfaction flooded every deck. Justice not just one, but soaring, healing worlds, one free heartbeat at a time. Horizon Mercy lives. The bridge crew roared, volunteers tears and fists pumping, emotions cresting in pure, victorious joy that shook the hull. Evan kissed Celine again, deeper, hands in her braid. Our ship, our rules, forever. Forever, she echoed, vines intertwining his fingers. Gold and red heart lines pulsing as one. Unbreakable. The stars ahead gleamed, endless promise. Patience waiting in the dark. Worlds ready to heal. Justice's light burning eternal. A beacon no shadow could touch. Luca patched station wide. Kepler Verge's cheers flooding comms. They're singing the hymn again. For us! Tears cut his grime. He saluted the shrinking ring. Celine activated the first outreach beacon, Horizon Mercy signal rippling out. Neutral clinic en route. Consent guaranteed. Hope delivered. Responses poured in, grateful, desperate, alive. Evan stood tall at the viewport, arm around Celine. Sync steady, future vast. We did more than win. We started something. She nodded, head on his shoulder. A universe that heals itself. The ship surged, quiet power, deliberate grace, carrying the first free clinic between stars. Emotions soaring higher with every light year. Satisfaction, deep, justice, thriving. To the stars, free and healed. The crew's final roar echoed eternal. Victory, not an end, but a beginning that lit the void. Nairi Medical Academy's amphitheater curved like a silver shell under soft orbital lights. 300 students packed in tiered seats, human and luminari leaning forward in equal measure, eyes wide with the kind of hunger that only fresh hope can spark. Evan stood center stage, heart pounding harder than during any plaza standoff. Celine beside him, her violet blue hand brushing his, vines pulsing, gentle gold in quiet encouragement. The hollow behind them mapped cross-species triage in real time. Red human vitals weaving with gold, luminary resonance, a living testament. Triage isn't just protocol, Evans said, voice steady but thick with memory, gesturing to the demo patient on the hollow, a simulated refugee with radiation burns. It's empathy in action. Ask consent, share data, heal together. His eyes scanned the crowd, some nodding fierce, others wiping tears, the weight of changed lives pressing on his chest. Celine stepped forward, palms glowing as she demonstrated live resonance mapping, vines extending to the hollow, guiding cellular repair with delicate precision. Love doesn't bias treatment, she answered a student's raised hand, copper eyes sparkling soft. It amplifies it, if you let it. Her gaze flicked to Evan, sync flaring warm, a private smile tugging despite the spotlight. A young luminary student stood, voice trembling. You turned enemies into allies. How do we carry that? Evan's throat tightened. He swallowed hard, fist clenching at his side. By remembering the plaza, the fear, the roar when justice won. Celine squeezed his hand, grounding, her vines wrapping his wrist. Shared emotion flooding the sink. Pride, love, the ache of hard-won peace. Applause rippled. Slow at first, then thunderous, students on feet, fists pumping. Yes. Overhead, Horizon Mercy hung in orbit, running lights pulsing like a slow, steady heartbeat against the stars. Evan's eyes welled. He blinked fast, pulling Celine close mid-cheer. They get it. They really get it. She buried her face in his shoulder, voice muffled but fierce. Because of US. They walked the sky bridge to the shuttle, zero-G petals of light drifting past viewports, Nere's rings a glittering arc below. Evan paused, hand on the bulkhead, emotions cresting, exhaustion from the fight, joy in the legacy, love for the woman beside him. Feels surreal, teaching what we lived. Surreal and right, Celine whispered, turning him to face her, palms cupping his cheeks, copper eyes wet and luminous. You saved me as much as I saved you. Sync exploded, pure, overwhelming affection, vines glowing bright enough to light the bridge. Inside the ship, Luca cued the next beacon. Refugee convoy, radiation sickness, coordinates flashing urgent. Mercy Run 2, let's move. His grin was tired but radiant, clapping Evan's back. Proud of you, brother. Engines warmed with a deep, reassuring thrum. The intertwined heartlines on the hull glowing brighter, red and gold pulsing in unison. Evan took the helm, Celine standing beside, palm on his shoulder, sync steady as a vow. Ready? He asked, voice soft. Always, she answered, leaning in, forehead to his, emotions mingling in the quiet. Gratitude, partnership, a love that had weathered fire. Horizon Mercy leaped, quiet, deliberate, carrying the first free clinic deeper into the stars. The Academy shrank behind, but its applause echoed in their hearts. Patience ahead, not conquests, but kin waiting to understand and heal. Heartbeat among stars. Evan's whisper carried the crew, emotions cresting in tears, laughs, fists to chests. Satisfaction, deep, love eternal. Celine kissed him slow, vines wrapping tight. Medicine isn't just saving lives. It's helping every species heal one another. He nodded, eyes shining. And we're just getting started. The ship surged into the black, Emblem a beacon, heartlines intertwined, emotions soaring, triumph, tenderness, unbreakable bond, a universe learning to beat as one.